Yeah, hi. Yeah, just here. I'm not very technical. I'm an investor pretty heavily into a lot of the XRP NFT projects. So just here to learn what I can, try to pick up some stuff. A lot of it's over my head, but I like to listen in.
Yeah, man. Well, ask any questions. The whole purpose of me doing these chats is to help people learn. So educational. So if you have anything you're wondering about or curious towards or whatever, I don't know everything but I got a decent idea of most of it. And that's really the purpose. They're going to be joining.
Okay. Have you released? I think I listened into one still early, I think. Have you released any details on that or anything for?
Me?
Yeah, I could have sworn you said you were working on a project, more utility based.
I've got a couple things up my sleeve, but none of them are like anywhere near close to being specced out and built yet. I need developers. I'm not a technical guy. I'm more of a financial engineer type, but I understand the technology enough to set things up so that they work appropriately, so that the service financially performs the way the customers would desire, if that makes any sense. But I'm not the guy to code it.
I see. You haven't found any developers yet to work with you?
No, not really. I've got 2 or 3 things up my sleeve. I've applied for the XRPL grants for something I don't necessarily want to talk too much about, but it's something that we're going to absolutely need. There's no way around that. And KarmaCoverage, my namesake, that's a peer-to-peer risk sharing service. So think of like the Uber to the think of the Uber to the taxi company. Think of KarmaCoverage to the insurance company. If that makes any sense.
Not to me. It probably does to others, but
Well, it's your classic peer-to-peer thing. I don't know if you know peer-to-peer, crowdsourcing, yada yada, that kind of stuff. But basically, so KarmaCoverage, the business model is how yeah, probably. And you know how Uber, like the classic taxi company, right? They own all the money, or they own all the cabs, the vehicles, and then they hire they hire out the drivers, and then they do the routing. So they take all the calls, request for rides, and then they dispatch the drivers. And then you had Uber come along, and Uber doesn't own any cars. Work the supply and demand sides of the market together. So demand side being I need a ride, supply side being, I'm a driver with a car. And so requirements to for like Uber to expand into a new, because the taxi company would have to buy all these cars. So it's a difference in basically you take the investment requirements and you move them from capex over to like a marginal cost. And even that's pretty freaking low, because really you're just recruiting drivers, which the marginal cost of acquiring a new piece of supply is just some driver signing up, right? Which is maybe some marketing, but you're certainly not buying a car. And so KarmaCoverage business model is similar in a sense, because KarmaCoverage never actually takes control or ownership of the user's money. And so when you look at an insurance company, I used to be in the insurance business. Thankfully, I got out.
I'm actually, I'm an insurance agent myself. I have an agency with one of the captive companies in the U.S., one of the big 3. Looking to get out, hopefully, if crypto does what I'm hoping it does in the next few years.
Well, that's actually literally, I was running an agency, and that's how I found Ripple or XR. What I was looking to do, anyway, before I get into that, and I'll go there if you want. But, uh, you know, I'm getting on the two different angles. So basically, with KarmaCoverage, the way the business model is set up is the people set up their own wallet, right? Like a crypto wallet, and they put some money in there. And then they basically say like, hey, I'm willing to help, these 50 friends if something happens, say they get in a car wreck or something, maybe just cover their deductible. And then those friends sign up, and then they say like, okay, I'll help these 50 friends. And at that point, to spread $500 across 2,500 people, it's really not a lot of money. And so that's where the leverage comes from. And then the main thing I started off wanting to do is I was like, well, hey, instead of me paying for leads, right? How about I have this money that I'm perfectly willing to pay go back to my clients, right? And so the idea was to tell the clients, hey, you're worth X amount of dollars. If you're willing to take a quote, I'll put the money in your wallet, and then you can help yourself or your friends, or, let's get lizards off of every freaking poster and TV show. And like, they're the legit straight up lizard people. But yeah, that was kind of how it all started. Then when I found XRP Ledger as a financial engineer type, I was like, holy, this thing is unbelievable what it can do. So I kept at it since then.
So this product is out already?
No, there's a guy that I was working with back in the 2013, 2014 from San Francisco. I'm in Florida. And he actually just got back in touch with me. He wants me to work with him on a derivatives thing. They've got a pretty good innovation that's probably going to go into beta testing in January. I can't really talk about it, but no, I never got it going because I was getting hosed in my insurance agency. So I was just, but when you start off, you expect that. But it didn't get much better. So eventually I sold the damn thing. But I wasted.
Yeah. Were you independent or captive?
I don't want to say the company's name, although I don't mind bad mouthing them. But it was one of these franchise deals where you sign up as like you aren't the, oh man, thankfully it's been a few years. An associate broker, I think was the legal terminology. So you'd sign up and I got, appointments with basically a couple hundred, well, not a couple, 100 plus, 120, 150 carriers. So I had access to market, and
it wasn't Goosehead, was it? They keep reaching out to me.
No, but I've heard of them. They've reached out to me. I won't answer their calls.
Okay. Well, one more question. You're not on TikTok, are you? The voice sounds familiar.
No, I don't do TikTok at all. Okay. I only Twitter because it's like crypto Twitter, and I probably have a lot more followers and whatever because back then it was a pretty small community. But I don't do Facebook. I don't do Instagram.
Are you getting into these XRPL NFTs at all?
What do you mean?
Like a lot of these projects, are you investing into them? Like Xpunks? No,
I don't actually think I've heard of some of them that I am interested in. They're like I'm in some of the forums with more of the developers who have I know the tech well enough that reasonable innovation. Generally speaking, sometimes it's over my head. but no, I kind of keep things pretty tight. I'd stick to the base. So I'm mostly XRP, Flare. I'm excited about Sologenic. I've got some Songbird. I've been doing that. It's nice to see how that network is rolling out the various features, because Flare's not going to launch until Songbird is fully operational. So, I mean, that would be. I have great respect for the Flare team. I think they're extremely professional. And I think the Songbird network was a terrific idea and a good sort of staging ground. And with all the, FTSOs, F assets, and core function like governance or something, until they get all of that live on Songbird network, I don't think they're not going to launch Flare. I know some people say it has to do with the Ripple lawsuit, maybe a little bit, but no, I think it has to do with just straight up being a professional and action mode in a responsible way where you've done, the absolute best job. And Songbird's not.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know if you cut out or not, but I saw something about the Solana network going down a couple of times this last week. So I think they're having some real big issues over there.
And then it went blind.
Sorry, the Solana ecosystem apparently has been going down a couple times, or there's a lot of transactions that failed, thousands, I believe. So I think they're having some issues over there on the Solana side.
No, I haven't heard about that, but I also don't really. What? So wait, transactions failed, or did the ledger pause, or?
I sent the screenshot to my buddy. Let me bring that up real quick. Yeah, it says over the last 24 hours, more than 60% of all Solana transactions have failed.
Does it say why, or have they figured out why yet?
I don't know. I just saw that come across my Twitter feed, but I'd seen something before that as well about some other issues Solana was having earlier in the week. So this is the second thing that I came across on their ecosystem.
Wow, what a crazy system they have. Oh yeah, it's been a long time. I've seen it since I talked to you from Miami. Seriously, problems from all the way from try to get their systems up and running, but 60%, that's not going to be helping them out in no way, no how, anytime soon.
Were you at the Miami Ripple?
Digital World Assets. I almost got the Puerto Rican guy who speaks Spanish and English.
Okay, yeah, now I realize who you are. How you going, man? Good to see you in here.
Yeah, I saw you were on having a little conference. Yeah, there's been a lot of things been happening lately. Even all the interledgers, also the sidechains, and especially one of the biggest ones I was cheering for was is XDC, and that one's been improving a lot. That's all the way in Asia, in Japan. So that's going to be very interesting how it's connecting to Ripple like that. And I think it's going to be a very successful partnership with Ripple. Yeah, because they own 20% of Ripple. You know that, right?
No, tell me about it. I know I've heard of XDC, but I haven't spent any significant amount around.
So I really got into XDC for a while back ago when they had a couple of years back when they're having an issue with Western Union and Swift, but they were having problems and they were like, I think they was about to get sued by them because they were trying to do like some deals that went south. So Western Union backed off, but that's when Sterling Lumens got that type of contract with them. But sue them, they just want to say, well, I saw you guys did wrong. Really don't want to go that type of route. So the SBI is connected to to all of the banks all the way in Japan. It's one of the biggest ones, like with that supplies most of the finance over there. So they also make Corda, and Corda, that's the one that made XDC. So technically they're trying to use the XDC token down there, kind of the same way they use XRP up here. So they want to do XDC, just basically doing the exact same thing in a faster route, but all in the Asia Pacific. They want to do Indonesia. They want to do Singapore, because there's a lot of people over there that especially do for the Philippines and all these Taiwan. So they constantly work out there. So they would try to figure out a faster route of transporting money like Ripple is doing. So they got 20% of the control of Ripple. So they're trying to use the same protocol. Yeah, I think it hasn't been blowing up too big because of the Ripple lawsuit, but there right now is about 8 cents of coin. So that's a very good and very interesting coin that is gonna explode. Even if you follow that YouTuber about how Corda is basically the same thing as XDC, but it's just a little bit different than XRP, because XRP, when you have nodes and stuff like that, you really don't get paid to making the same gas fee like Ethereum does. So XDC, every transaction you do when you have a node, you get 8 to 12% of the transaction. We're a little bit different about it, but the majority of the thing is still the same thing. It's just 1 to 2 second transmission. Very very fast, and it's very easy. So XDC is a very a coin that I'm still looking forward to, and a very high possibility. But this also thing is very connected to the Ripple lawsuit, because that coin. So that's like the only downfall on that. But the good thing is that it's backed up by the bank. It's by a bank down in Japan, the SBI group. So it's technology all over Asia, one way or another, because they're gonna be a trademark. So
if I understood you right, XDC is tied in with SBI.
Yeah, I made a division that made Corda, and they made the coin, and they also use the same technology that Ripple is using, that Ripple Ledger.
It's a different stack, but yeah, I know Corda. They're definitely different. They're tied in with Ripple, kind of. They had a lawsuit with Ripple also.
Yeah, but it's not as horrible that with the SEC they're doing, but they're more than getting angry at each other. So they're basically now they're partners in the situation of the future. So it's not that bad of a situation, but it's basically something that went bad, but it's something's amazing. It's gonna be going through, and it's gonna be great. So something that went bad is gonna be good. So I'm really proud of that.
Do you know what the cryptography, like what's the tech stack for XDC? Is it this? What is it?
I think it's consensus. It's consensus. So all the nodes, it needs to be communicated. Like same thing with Ripple. The more nodes do help out with the protocol to go faster, but it seems very very close. But they encourage people to produce their own just to just make it faster to transmit information. So that's like the only difference I see. But it's basically is consensus, like the Ripple does.
So the only other thing that gave me some concern was if the validators or the node operators are taking a cut of each transaction, that effectively is an economic loss to the users of the network.
Right, already burned. Like every transaction that gets it's already dead. It's like 0.00, like 0.00, like less than a penny. So you're doing 8 to 12% of a less of a penny.
Well, sure. It depends on where that money goes, though, because like with Ethereum, that that transaction fee money goes to the miner. So you're basically paying them for their equipment and electricity. With XRP Ledger, that kind of goes to everybody that owns XRP because it reduces the total supply of XRP. So everybody has proportionately higher percentage of the total XRP.
Right, then this is like the different thing that it seems XDC seems very awesome that it, who does protect the mining equipment and stuff like that. But remember also, it's not that our like XRP in XDC is not energy like demanding, so it's not really making a big difference at all. So like having a little bit, having a node up there, having it up and just running, a very serious problem with that I see at now. But over there for the way SBI and Corda is running that over there in Asia. But I think it's a very promising coin.
Well, I'll have to take a look. I don't know. I probably won't put anything into it because.
But I have like close to 15,000 coins, but it's great. And then the great thing is, like, if you don't want to partake, just putting straight just funds in the node just produce some coins back. It isn't that much, but hey, it helps out with the system itself. So, but that's a different way that the technology is being used for the the XRP ledger use in that type of sense. So it's kind of neat in that way of technology.
Well, I'll check with some people who follow SBI and see what they think.
All right.
Yeah, got some sort of legitimate use. A lot of these things I'm very skeptical. Like very skeptical.
Yeah. But what do you think about Aglaram?
Never heard of it.
ALGO?
I don't know. I really don't look too much at other networks unless there's something that people I talk to tell me, hey, these guys hadn't, I've heard of Algo. I've heard pretty much good things about Algo.
Did you ever notice that that paperwork that I think that the federal government, like, how they post stuff in their webpage and stuff like that, and they also sometimes they delete things or they post new things up. So they also, like, about a year ago, some change, they posted up the ISO20022 protocol, and they had like a diagram of all the ledgers that was working with that type of protocols. It was in the standard. So like there was like at least 5 of them. So the ones that I saw when I saw the diagram of how the ecosystem works, it was quite a few of them, and I still follow them to this day right now. And those ones are let me see. I'll tell you exactly all of them that I follow. And those are
basically every financial institution, I believe, starting in November 22.
Yeah.
Is to have to be ISO 20022.
Do you think they're complying with that? Like which the banks are, but which tokens are? And I know XRP is one of them. Like
I've seen that list before. There's only a handful, but that's kind of a required. If you're legit, that's going to be required. Period.
Right. So I think the ones that are going to be like, I think it's going to be the ones that are going to make a big, like Algo, Stellar, IOTA, that XDC. And I believe that's very few, but at least 5 of them. And then probably be the dollar that's going to be there. But so just very few, 5 of them that's going to probably be up to standards. And I think the rest is going to be like I said, they're going to try to re-edit their systems, or they're going to change their programs, because just to be 20022. So I think it's like next year is gonna be a eye opening.
Yeah, it's going to be a big. Yeah, I try to keep these channels not so much like about. I mean, I don't mind talking about other things because it's Internet of Value, right? All of these networks are going to be part of it, at least for some period of time. I think most of them will fail away. But yeah, the ISO20022 in terms of being integrated and compliant and everything. And what else was I going to say?
I think that's gonna be. I think that I don't know exactly when that's gonna launch out next year or probably November. But when that happens, I think it's gonna be all like who's up to standards are able to do it, they're gonna be accepted, and the other ones they're gonna be having a dice. All those coins or whoever's up in standard is gonna be a very successful. Gonna be connected to everything. It's gonna connect to the banks, connected to foreign. They're going to also be able to connect to Swift, even to send things money to cross-border payment. I also think that those
November.
So I think when that's going to help a lot too, because up and running and all these side chains that Ripple have in their XP and everything, I think it's gonna be amazing. I think it's gonna be something that people wouldn't expect. It's gonna be something like out of this world.
Yeah, hey, what's going on, Karma? How you doing, man?
All right.
Good. Sorry, I was just sending a message on another app.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, good, man. No, you're good.
Yeah, I wanted to say, man, this platform, and just I want to give my hats off to you. That video that you did, what is money, man? As far as mental, where we at right now, this time and space, and people that's actually taking part of this industrial revolution. I think that video is very, very essential. I actually retweeted it out, saying, and let people look at it because this money game it's a totally different thing that we're taking part in right now. Raphael was he brought up some great points just now, and I just want to say as far as just my journey in crypto, and I'm going to tie it back into where we're at right now, what we're talking about. It's about 2 years ago. I got into the crypto space, and the reason I was looking for the crypto space is because I was one of those entrepreneurs that got wrecked in 2008 when the market crashed. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing that we can do about it. You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't know about it. Not that we couldn't do anything about it. We didn't know about it, and so that raised up my antenna about QE and the things that's happening with money and how this system can't keep going on because it'll be hyperinflation for the whole entire globe, which would cause pretty much a civil war or everybody just go crazy. You know what I'm saying? So when I found out about these cryptocurrencies, what made me think about it, like I said, what really affected me was the word currency was attached to it. And that was my plight, was to find out, man, what's going on with money? What's happening with money? You know what I'm saying? What's going to be the future? One of the first projects that I was interested, but a second besides Bitcoin, but that's a whole nother story, but was XRP. And funny as it is, like I said, you call me crazy, folks that's crazy. I was a avid Simpsons lover. You know what I'm saying? And I was one of the ones that would be like, you know what, hey, you know what I'm saying? It seems like everything that go on the sun. So I found out about XRP, and usually, like I said, I'm an investor, and I usually take my time to investigate companies. You know what I'm saying? Not just stocks, companies that I'm into. But what I heard about that thing, and I recognized that I've seen that video about the Simpsons. You know what I'm saying? I said this there's something. I believe so much in XRP and what I heard and the investigation that I did that I bought before I really even knew about it. You know what I'm saying? What they call FOMO. You know what I'm saying? I said, I'm gonna buy it now, you know what I'm saying? But because it's in, you know what I'm saying? Bought it in a little while. And like I said, when going into cryptocurrencies, it made me to be fixed. So then I heard this thing about ISO20022.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Dino, so when did you invest into XRP? My apology.
Can we just have like one speaker? So if you're not speaking, just hit mute and we keep a orderly situation.
Yeah, I'll get to. I just get that about 2 years ago. I bought it into 2019. I think it was like 20 something cent. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I got in. What happened was, I understood that the monetary system was needed to be changed. I knew that ISO. I kept hearing ISO 20022, ISO 20022. So when I started looking at ISO 200, a paper that Swift wrote about ISO and how they were behind ISO 220. You know what I'm saying? I think this is what I've been looking at. So as far as the ISO 222, not only would I find out what XRP was on that list, because what ISO 22 is the which everything is going to, you know what I'm saying, is DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. But I recognize that, guess what they're saying is, yeah, we know that our system is broke pretty much, and we have to actually upgrade our system also and keep up with the phases. So they okay, if this is Swift that's behind this, you know what I'm saying, and they're actually handling all the doggone money right now, you know what I'm saying, who else is involved with this ISO 222, and what is it about? You know what I'm saying? Now the thing about it, I started following Brad Carlinghouse and people like that, and they always throw out these code words: Internet of Value, all the money. You know what I'm saying? The Amazon of money. You know, like, oh, I like, man, this thing is big. This thing is big. But in order to do that, what they kept pushing was we're interoperable, we're sustainable, and we're scalable. And that's the first thing that if you're going to do great business together, whoever you operate. You know what I'm saying? So you guys doing something where you're saying you're all the money, you know what I'm saying? You're going to be our value, you know what I'm saying? And you actually approved by this standard messaging system called ISO 20022, which everybody in banking is going to have to abide by. I'm like, oh my God.
And then we've got a real authority here just popped in, Faisal. Hey, how you doing? Some more about ISO 2022. Mm-hmm. But global monetary system, mm-hmm. because in finance, everything comes down to like relativity. Mm-hmm. So if all these central banks are doing monetary expansion, mm-hmm. there's basically nowhere to hide. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not like one country is printing tons of money and every other country is basically not. Mm-hmm. You know, in that case, you would want to get out of the country's currency that's printing a bunch of money.
Correct.
But if effectively all of them are, then it's like all boats are flowing down the same river or up the same river. I don't know what the analogy would be. And so I find that less fearful, or I find that creating less fear for me. Mm-hmm. And then I forget what the other point was. But if there's questions about ISO 20022, Faisal's probably the man. Definitely mm-hmm. knows more than me. Mm-hmm. Sure, that's going into effect in November next year.
Well, actually, everybody should be on board by November next year. You know what I'm saying? It's going to start off, first off in January. Payment systems going to have to be involved in it. And as far as people that say since July, you know what I'm saying? Which I know it was way longer than that before that. So, yeah, they're going to start rolling it out. You know what I'm saying? They're saying that they're rolling it out according to January. By November, everything should be attached to it. But from payments to credit card messaging to equity stock messaging, in order to move on ISO 20022.
Yeah, if all the banks standard, yeah, all the banks are going to have to be compliant.
International
any blockchain that's not compliant is going to be, I don't know.
You can't take part. You won't be able to take part because you won't be on the format or have the semantics, you know what I'm saying, in order to operate throughout the system. You either have to pass it.
They might be able to take through some
Yeah, through Sidechains, through other companies that are certified, you can work apart with them. That's why I said this thing is so much bigger, man. This is humongous. That's why I don't understand why everybody, you know, I do understand why everybody is pretty much thinking that this thing is going to be a fad or whatsoever. But nah, this is the new way of doing business in the world.
It's going to be a fad but
Yeah.
some of it is, and that'll fade away, just like the .com boom.
Regulations.
But real innovation occurring, and a lot of it is going to be sticking with us for here, if you're old enough to even be talking about this, probably for the rest of our lives.
Hey, can I say something right quickly?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So I think ISO 2022 I think is going to be very important because you got to think about how the world is working right now. Not just because of the crypto, how people are transferring goods to each other. You know, the problems, also there's all these crises are happening around the world. Resources are getting really, really, really low. So the point to another across the world and across the whole continent, you know, country to country, in areas that they're having some desperate have a system that they can actually show 100% that's clear, transparent, and has all that data. So they can't afford having people to start smuggling around all these different finance to all these little foreign countries and stuff like that. They can't do it. So these other banks that they can't take part because of the ISO protocol, they're just gonna fall out, and those are gonna be the ones that are gonna be trying to get into it in a third party, and I think those are the ones that are gonna fall apart, and they're gonna be in a new world. So I believe also that these are the times that all these things are immigration, even all the way to people try to survive in this world. I think that's gonna make a very it's gonna what we have. So they and then the system that we have right now with the banking system, it's not meant to support that in that sense, because it's just so horrible. So eventually the ISO protocol is gonna be very important, and then that's gonna be where all these ones that are up in standards are gonna be the ones that are connected and will be the future. Without that, I don't think there's going to be another way that the evolution of technology for the Web 3.0 to even be connected if without that standard to be. That's my personal opinion about the ISO. But Karma, yeah, I think it's I think it's gonna be in, but I don't know all the players who have all these tokens gonna be in there.
They're not. Look, books are going to be written about this time, movies are going to be filmed about this time, and legends will be made in this time.
Yeah, I'll ask one thing. If you're not talking, hit mute, and that way we have an orderly conversation. Yeah, it's a big deal, man. That's why I'm so interested. Every single industry you look at ends up having to use money, and the last time that we did what I view as a restructuring of kind of the global monetary infrastructure, we had 2 world wars. We screwed it up after the First World War, so we had to have a second one. And it kind of makes me so grateful is if this can be accomplished without a world war, that's great. And just like when I love the phrase Internet of Value. That makes all the sense in the world. The more you think about it, the more sense it makes. If we can reduce there's another guy, Jeremy Ridd, I don't know if it's a book or a concept or whatever, but zero marginal cost and transaction to move money, from any place in the world to any place in the world, then basically what happens, the more economic activity people do, the better everybody is. And I that's what I see happening here is we're going from the industrial age cost structure of moving money in terms of both cost and value, but also cost and time. And we're moving into the view and time is frankly negligent or irrelevant, negligible. And I think when people start getting pessimistic about the economic future, I don't always speak up about this because most people don't understand what's going on with all this stuff. But in the back of my head, I listen to them and what they have to say, and it's usually valid points. But then well, if we have like, look at the amount of information that travels around the world today, pre-internet, basically. And the amount of information that flows is so much greater. And the same thing's happening here. It isn't going to happen overnight. You know what? It took we're what? Call it 95. We had the internet. So we're looking at what? 5 years in. So I think by the time we hit 2025, we're in a big different situation. Global monetary infrastructure will have adopted and probably begin the process of rolling out. By 2030, we're in a whole new world. I don't even know how to think about what's going to be possible. And if you tour stuff, but I've got a small company and we pay for APIs, and I often pay sub-penny prices per API call. But what happens, the Nostro Vostro accounts with the banks, the same concept goes down to little guys like me. I got to float the money so they can ding me, a API call. Well, if we have an internet of value, I don't have to float that money. And granted, it might not be a lot of money, but to some people it might be. And then that business doesn't get started. Versus roll forward to 2030, somebody that pay half a penny when they receive a penny, they can go ahead and start that business. And that, there's all these things that are going to cascade down. So that gives me lots of optimism. I get this sort of traditional theory, pessimism, because if you don't understand what's going on, then there's some things that seem fundamentally reasonable to be pessimistic about. I guess I'm more on the optimistic side, and I think a lot of this stuff's going to snowball exponentially. It's just going to take years. It's not going to be. And hey, we're already 10 years in.
Hey, Karma, I have a question for you. So, what are the things that needs to happen right now? I know Ripple lawsuit is a very important thing. It's got to happen before even the technology will. But what are the things that it has to be, that has to go wrong, just to push this technology further up, inflation, I don't know, war, or maybe just a technical crash, or something. What type of technology further out, and to reach everybody for this to become something gonna be mainstream? Well, it could be.
I think the SEC lawsuit's a bump in the road. It'll work itself out one way or another. I think the ISO 20022 getting implemented, and then you're going to have to get comfortable with that new standard. I'm making stuff up here, but I think as countries start rolling out CBDCs, and then that starts enabling interoperability, I think that's going to be slow, but very significant long term. Companies, when the banks start being able to, and I'm speaking from a Ripple centric perspective here, but it could be any blockchains, fast, cheap, near zero marginal cost. When the money the customer's big banks, right? The bank's big customers are your SMEs, your small, medium-sized enterprises. And when those guys start being able to become more capital efficient, then I feel like that should lend itself, just from an economic dynamic, to those companies expanding and going through an expansion phase. I feel like this is probably somewhere around 2025. Basically, just as the efficiency in the whole system improves, then the system should get healthier and grow. and it is not really any one thing. It's going to be a confluence of many things that appear not necessarily related on the surface, but under the hood, they all kind of create feedback loops off of each other, and you create some efficiency over here, you create some efficiency over there, and then all of a sudden, wow, the economy's really doing like a lot better.
Karma, you don't think might go into another Great Depression or another severe another severe moment in the American history before we even consider to be this technology to kick up? Because the way the inflation is going and how everything is going to and directing to, I think it's going to be something, I think, far worse before people try to even cancel college tuitions and stuff like that. So we don't have enough to even try to fix ourselves, even try to even, cancel debt so that we can't even afford. So I think we're going to probably enter another great economical desperate the technology before ISO comes out, because I think you don't ask for something, you don't need for something until something really happens really bad, before this could be a band-aid for the problem and we can fix this problem with this. But I think there has to be something must happen that messes up not just a few rich people, across the whole country, before we start implementing this technology very soon or later. Probably in months, or maybe even probably later.
I don't think so. When I hear Great Depression in 2008, I hear a financial system crisis, and it's not your normal just say business cycle downturn. We've had all this monetary expansion. That's definitely probably postponed that. I don't know. I've expected things to start turning down, but with all the money, when you print money, the financial the other thing I'll say, I tweeted this out the other day, and the one before that, I don't know who the gentleman was, but he definitely knew a lot about the CBDCs, and I did a video a couple of years, and the guy shared some videos with me from I'm probably going to say his name wrong, but it's like Michael Kampf. He's a German dude who's a researcher for the Bank of England, and if you look in my recent Twitter post history, you can find the guy. He total like stiff German. But I read his paper back in 2015, and that kind of set my thinking. And so when if you watch that video I made on CBDCs, that is the root of those thoughts are not mine. They're from the Michael Kampf guy, who's their central bank. And so I think the picture, well, now we're just within a domestic economy, not global, right? But big picture, the CBDCs, if they're designed right. So the thing with the Great Depression and the Great Recession is you end up with a bank run. And so all of a sudden, everybody wants to pull their assets out into cash, okay? And that's bad. That causes, I'm about to make a video in the next, whenever I get around to it, about these stable coins, and, I'll get to that. But you need some elasticity. When people start pulling deposits out of commercial banks, the money supply, then things get rigid, like an old person. When they get rigid, they break easy, and that's not good. And BDC, if it can, because like cash, like paper cash, it can't have an interest rate. So you have two sort of levers you can pull in terms of monetary theory or monetary policy. You can either pull quantity, so you either print more or you buy, but you can increase or decrease interest rate. So the commercial banks, they hold reserves at the central bank, in whatever domestic economy. It doesn't matter which country. They all work the same. And the central banks have never had the interest rate policy. You can't do that. You can't like mail someone a sliver, like 1% of a dollar, because with the CBDCs, they can. And so the cool thing about that I think helps stabilize domestic economy, if it's managed right, obviously, is there can be a spread between, like, send a commercial bank deposit, right? And let's just pretend they're paying me, I don't know, 10%. Obviously, no one's getting that today, but just for example's sake. And then say I could bank deposit, the commercial bank deposit, that's a liability on the commercial bank's balance sheet. They can go bankrupt. They practice fractional reserve banking. All the money's not in the bank. 90% of it's probably lent out or more. I don't know. But their account at the central bank versus I could hold CBDC of the central bank's balance sheet. So, and I might have to go through an intermediary like a exchange, like go with narrow bank, because the central banks are not going to handle customer service. But basically, when you hold like $100 in CBDC, you have $100 backed up by $100 on the central bank's balance sheet, which that's the ultimate gold standard. CBDC could be paying, say, 2%. Well, if the business cycle turns and people start pulling money out of the banks, like a classic bank run, 30s, 1908 or 2008, 08, go out of commercial bank deposits into CBDC, and different levers and two different powers. So you have market forces here. It can have the central bank could lower the 2% interest rate on the commercial bank deposits more attractive. So maybe, I'm like, yeah, okay, if I can make that much more for a commercial bank deposit, maybe I'll put my money back in the bank. Reserve, so they can lend more money out, which can get the economy going again. And then the central bank says, nope, we're sticking at 2%. That's that. So then that could push the commercial banks to say, okay, well, we're now going to pay 11% or 12%. And then I make the same decision. If the spread's big enough, maybe it makes more sense for me to put my money back in the commercial bank. Well, then that you have a money supply expansion, because the central bank doesn't print all the money. The commercial banks print them. So if we can get that mechanism in place, which it's coming, it's going to be a while. I think 2025 sounds early, but I'm just pulling that out of my ass. But, none of these guys are going to move fast. And if we can get that mechanism in place, we may depression or a 2008 Great Recession again, because there will be market forces to help balance things out. The only thing is, in both the Great Depression and Great Recession, in both of those cases, you were looking at a financial system collapse. And I know everybody hated the quote unquote bank bailouts and whatnot, but it was definitely the right thing to do. The degree is like a double-sided tape that holds the economy together. And if you pull away that double-sided tape, everything collapses. So while it might not be publicly palatable or publicly applauded, mechanically, it's the right thing to do.
Well, Karma, thank you for answering my question. I really appreciate that. I gotta let you go, but I'll keep in touch with you about those next ideas of CBDCs and all these. Talk to you later, Karma, and have a good day. All right.
Yeah, man. The CBDC video I did a couple years ago, that's already up. The next one I'm going to do is basically trying to explain what I just explained, but in stable coins, and showing the elasticity and the quality versus quantity of.
Okay, cool. Oh yeah, then I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna check on it, and I can't wait for the next videos. Can't wait.
Yeah, man. Nice to meet you in Miami.
Yeah, same here. I'll talk to you later. All right.
All right. See you, man.
All right. Bye-bye.
Anybody's welcome to speak up. So I was, to change the subject, I guess, I was looking at some sidechain stuff today, and I finally got something clear that I hadn't gotten clear. So my curiosity was, we've got interledger protocol in any two ledgers, and frankly, between multiple ledgers. We've got the Flare agents, which stand between, Flare, FXRP and XRP, Flares, FDoge and Doge, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, what is the difference between these federated side chains and those two? Right? These federators are just actors, or actors. They're that have kind of a leg on each side, one in each ledger. And so the answer seems to be that the federated side chains basically have like a wrapped XRP. So let's say I run a federated side chain, or let's say I run a federator between a side chain and because I was wondering about like what's the spread between the like how does this federate, and there could be some built in there somewhere, but basically the deal is in a real XRP on the mainnet. So you're not changing denominations of value, if that makes any sense. So it's not like they're going P or ETH to Doge or whatever. It's basically the side chains basically just have wrapped XRP. So it's XRP to XRP. Okay. I don't know. We only got a couple people in here. I don't know if we want to keep going, or there was some other people that messaged me saying they were going to pop in. They haven't popped in yet.
I got a question. Do you have a take on this whole tether thing? With I'm just hearing. And second question, I know when there was a big dip in the market a week or two ago, they print people saying they're trying to prop up the price of Bitcoin by doing that. Do you have any take on what's going on with Tether?
I have not done a detailed at all. I haven't even spent more time than talking to a couple of people. So take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, because consider the source, right? I haven't looked at it. Apparently, they haven't let out their. That concerns me. That would be like a central bank, not major red flag. I don't know if they're creating leverage. I have some concern and let's say we have a giant crypto crash. If we had a giant crypto crash, could that crash somehow create sell pressure on commercial paper, which would then have that downturn flow out of the crypto markets into the traditional markets, which could then flow further, deeper into the traditional markets. I have a sense that crypto is now 3 trillion. That's not a small sum of value. Let's say it crashed to 1. If that loss of value could somehow flow into the traditional markets, that could cause earning, especially considering you have a good amount of both Main Street and also like I'll call it quasi Wall Street, because you got like some hedge funds, that are like the whales. But a lot of the Wall Street firms are kind of invested in punch in the gut, Main Street, quasi Wall Street, and a little bit Wall Street. I'm sure Wall Street's managing their risk, though. I don't know. What I get told is there's no information to even look at. And so I haven't tried to go dig anything up. But something smells fishy.
Do you know if those that are running Tether are they doxxed or are they kind of behind the scenes? I would assume they'd be doxxed, right? They just seem to be a little quiet with all the.
I have no idea. I think they got into a lawsuit with the state of New York. So I would assume somebody had to show up in court. And so their real identities should be available. It's not something I focused on or spent hardly any time on. I just get the scratch and sniff test that this could be a source of a contagion that spreads through the market.
Yeah, it seems like probably one of the biggest deals, top three for sure. Doesn't seem like anyone's diving too deep into it like they are with the XRP SEC case now. A lot of people are digging deep to find different documents that Ripple could have been going on for a while, but this Tether thing comes up and it seems just to be swept under the rug, and it seems like a huge deal potentially.
That's a good point. It's a good point. If the amount of, I have been shocked, oh man, at the stuff that the XRP community has dug up. Holy cow. But if that amount of effort was put into Tether, I have a feeling they'd find something. I don't know, man. I really don't. I haven't spent much time at all looking at it other than just to get my eyes are open. If I see something, it'll catch my eye. But I haven't gone like search. Hey, Chris. Hey, Jay.
Hello, how's it going?
Good. How you doing? Yeah, we're talking about a bunch of CBDC stuff. I don't even know what else. Tether.
Yeah.
There was some XDS talk.
XDS, what's that?
I think I've got that right. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yeah. See, okay, so with my thought with XDC is, people are like XDC, and it's like, well, when Ripple wins a lawsuit, I'm gonna take some of, maybe a little bit of my profits and then put it in XDC. Why spend money on XDC now when XRP has so much potential going for it, right? So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying XDC is not a good asset. It's just like, I just don't think, it's better to be in XRP now if you don't have any XDC. But I don't know. That's just my thought process.
I mean, I kind of have a rule to not talk about price or that kind of topic, but I have a feeling Ripple and XRP are going to come out on top. The main thing is XRP is not a currency or not a security. And the risk reward ratio in the short amount of time, because the lawsuit can't go on forever.
Right.
Like I was initially kind of irritated when the lawsuit got filed about this time last year.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, you know what? This puts a time limit on it.
Right.
They can't keep this up for another 5 years. Like,
right.
It's got to get over.
Yeah. Did you see that there was news that I guess Ripple's working with the UN on this with this company? It's called Xange, 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 and it's a
I think
exchange.
I saw it, but I haven't looked at it. It looked interesting on the surface.
Yeah, I guess it's a system where they're gonna put carbon credits on it.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know really much about how the carbon credit system works or anything like that, but I mean, exchange is linked with the United Nations, so I mean, that's just another kind of green light to me. Like, okay, everybody's linked in here. And
I think they got I think they got awarded one of the XRPL grants.
Oh,
So
okay.
that might be the extent of Ripple's involvement. You know, a little bit of funding.
Right. Well, the exchange is gonna be put on the XRP ledger.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's partnered with the United Nations, so I mean that's a big deal. Like, I mean, what other crypto agencies and structures, you know?
Well, I mean, half of the people in Ripple on their board and in senior leadership, and some of them have rotated in and out throughout the lifetime of the company, have been like heavy hitters from like BIS, IMF, World Bank. Heck, the RP from the guy running it was from the World Bank, and that was back in 2013. And then you look at all these the Federal Reserve payments, the W3C, the UN, the IMF, you know, and on every one of these councils or boards or things, basically decision-making bodies, Ripple's got a representative, if not leading the decision-making body. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's a fair observation.
Right. I mean, why would the UN partner with, you know, with Ripple and this company in the midst of a lawsuit if this thing wasn't fake? You know, I mean, it's just you just put two and two together here, you know.
I don't know, man. I've said it before. I could very well be wrong, but I almost wonder if this the SEC didn't pick this lawsuit to lose it, like pick the fight to lose it.
Right.
Appearance of victory, maybe whatever. I don't know how that unfolds, but you know.
Right. And you know the thing is too, like the points where they need to produce stuff, because I don't think the judge can really rule on anything because there's no law, right? Other than the Howey test, which is irrelevant anyway. But I mean, that's what people are saying too. She can't really rule on anything, and that's why they're waiting for Congress to actually make a law. So I'm thinking they just keep delaying it because they're waiting for Congress to do their stuff. So
I've thought it would be fantastic if XRP could be declared not a security according to the Howey test.
Mm-hmm.
However, I've also sort of, and I have no freaking clue, is real truth, but I've also sort of wondered or guessed maybe they're delaying, trying to wait for Congress. But when was the last time Congress did anything?
Right.
So the lawsuit's probably, I think the lawsuit's probably going to move faster than Congress, because I don't see Congress. I honestly don't remember the last time Congress did something. What did I hear on the radio today? They were I don't know if it was the infrastructure bill or some freaking big bill, and they thought they had it going, and then, oh, nope, that's going to be delayed. And it's like, what, you know, they can't, they're non-functional.
Yeah.
So I don't know. At the end of the day, I do think the real solution is to have something go through Congress. And that does not give me a lot of hope.
No.
In terms of like sooner rather than later, I think that's more later rather than sooner. But really, it's Congress's job to make the laws. Like, literally their job. So, I don't know. But the judge is going to have to do, you know, there's court-ordered time limits on stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So Congress is, if Congress wants a say, and if they want to keep their power, but if they want to, have a say in this, they're going to have to get things done quicker than the courts do. See this going more than another 6 months. And then, unless it goes to trial, and now we're talking 2025.
Oh, God.
I mean, that's like worst case scenario. But I don't know. Like at that point, the U.S. will have given away our monetary, dominance in the global monetary system. And I mean, China will be licking their chops. Are we that stupid? And I will say, I watched the entire, and there was 2 or 3. I don't know if they were House members or Senate members or whatever, but several of them do matter. And so to me, that's a sign that they're going to want to speed things up and not slow things down for that. But I have no idea. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then you got to kind of think about all this cyber attack. Jerome Powell to a bunch of people. They keep talking about a cyber attack, a big cyber attack on the financial system and blah, 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 blah. And then
I don't know, man. We pretty much dominate the internet.
Yeah.
Globally. Like there's no other country. Sure, we can be attacked, but I don't think there's any other country that has more power over the internet than the US.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm just bringing up the point that, what's going to happen to everybody's crypto if cyber attack? What's going to happen?
Well, even more likely than that, remember the SEC is the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Yeah.
So I've always thought the regulation was going to come in off ramp.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the KYC and the AML and the regulatory compliance. So ago, you started seeing some of the people, and I self-custody everything. And so you started seeing a lot of negative talk from the regulatory folks about self-custody because they basically can't regulate it. They have got, 100 XRP at Coinbase. Like I've got 100 XRP on my own wallet. It's not KYC'd, it's not AML'd, it's just mine. And, there's a big difference from a regulator's point of view between a self-custody, in a Bitcoin, Ethereum, it doesn't matter which one it is, all the same. And the last thing I think I remember reading is they were going to consider self-custody basically like a foreign currency. So you would have to go through, like, say I wanted to bring some crypto into the U.S. jurisdiction, or honestly, I'm going to use Uphold. But, I would have to KYC, then they know I'm not some terrorist financing, money laundering, whatever. And then that's how.
Did you, how awesome is Brian Brooks? But
I think he's done great. Yeah, really do.
He just has such a way of communicating. I thought he did a great job when he was like, the SEC says that X are listed on like traditional brokerage exchanges.
Oh, I missed that part. I watched him.
It was like his fourth bullet on his third point in a sentence. So it was like a very small. It was the only. Trust me, I watched the entire thing live, and I had an ear out, and it's a really great point, right? Like his point was that the regulation makes no sense because even there's no consistency. So where do they go?
I mean, there's a logical fail there. I heard one of his points that he made where he said, oh, how did he say it? Basically, when he was at the OCC, remember he gave the crypto exchanges could get a banking license, and like now Kraken is getting one, a couple of them. I know Kraken for sure. And he was like, well, hey, if we want to bring these guys under regulation, let's just bring them in under banking regulation. I really don't. And I mean, I don't know that much. I've had a securities license. I used to have a lot more respect for the SEC than I do now. I think bringing this stuff in under banking regulatory regime is probably better. And I know the Ripple and crypto in general, but regulatory regime, then that, to me, that if I was like running JP Morgan or Citibank, I'd be like, good, bring these guys onto my playing field, right? I'm used to playing under this regulatory framework. Totally different side show.
I think the problem is they want whole ownership, and there's no area. And so, there seems to be like this battle that's been built up over the years of like regulating body or, but there's the IRS, there's FinCEN, there's, so these, for money transmitting, for exchange of goods and services. I think it's probably going to come out like at the end of it with some pink sheets or penny stocks, NASDAQ, NYSE, obviously in that same, that they're all under the purview of the SEC, but like as there's different levels that you can get to once you've proven, liquidity and viability and all.
Well, if I was to guess, I literally have no freaking clue. I'm just a casual observer. But if I was to guess, without XRP being considered a non-security, consider the tax ramifications of the classification that an asset is falls under. So you've got currency, commodities, securities. Currencies are going to be going through banking regulation. Securities through SEC. I think that when they called Bitcoin and Ethereum commodities, and I said this, I was like, and I looked it up at the time, I forget the specifics, but I was like, this is going to be a problem for those coins or those tokens, whatever you want to call them, commodities, I guess, because of the tax ramifications. Because every time taxable event, versus when I like get $1 and spend $1, that's not necessarily a taxable event. I mean, yes, there's taxes that are involved, but it's like, when you get into securities, you've got a whole nother short-term, long-term capital gains. It falls into a completely different bucket because there's 3 different buckets in the tax law. I mean,
and I agree. I think commodities is like, it's better than being labeled a security, but it's called cryptocurrency. Like the aim was
when FinCEN came in and labeled XRP digital currency in 2015, it's arm of the Treasury, which manages the currency, which is superior. As far as I know, I think that's correct. And I'll say this as a side note. My when I first found Ripple, there used to be an old official forum. And just to be cheeky, my initial name was not KarmaCoverage, like Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. It was FINSIN. Because I knew with what they were doing, FinCEN was going to get involved. Came knocking. But yeah,
I remember that screen name. I stopped being on the forums, the official Ripple forums, when I spent like 4 hours. The what was it? The Computing for Good program.
yep, I did that.
I spent like 4 hours helping people troubleshoot that, and I was just like, "What am I doing? Like, I support this thing. Come on, like this is not. I'm not freaking customer service to these people. I'm like, everyone asked the same question. I was just copy pasting my answer. It was an experience.
Yeah. So you actually remember FinCEN from the official forum?
Yeah, I remember seeing that and thinking, what? Like, there were so many accounts where you're like, is this a CIA? Is this a government agency?
Yeah, that was just me. I'm definitely not a government agency. I'm just some dude.
Do you remember the God? What was his name? His last name was Datz.
Yes. Yeah, I spoke to him on the phone. Oh
what?
man, I spoke to him on the phone, like verbally. He went crazy, man.
He was. That was what like the first crazy crypto experience I ever had. Like that was literally where like what is happening here? This guy wants to sue them, and the settlement is like 50% of the company.
No, I literally thought about this in a while. I was going to try and do business with him because I was trying to do KarmaCoverage. Like my namesake now is it's really a business model, and he was doing peer-to-peer insurance. I was trying to do the same thing, and I honestly know is more economically, financially sound, engineered better, and oh my god, I haven't thought about this in a while. Holy crap, I kind of forgot about it.
I know the details are fuzzy. I thought about it for the first time, like recently, like in the past few months. And I was just like reliving that experience where I was just like, that was my first like, oh my god, is this a scam? Like moment in crypto.
No, he went crazy. He went crazy. He had like mental health issues, like legitimate mental health issues. Yeah, he thought he was going after MIT. He was going after Ripple. He was a reasonable programmer, but oh my god, no, there was nothing you could no. Oh, geez Louise, I really haven't thought about that in years.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that's one thing about crypto is that there's no the drama is like once you attach like some sort of personal acknowledgement that like I own this, this is mine, or I'm right to this, and then the value increases. Like it really forget what coin it was, but there was another guy who used to stalk all these events with like a sign saying that like he was maybe was it Next Coin or what coin was it?
There was a next coin.
There was.
I will say the guy did good work, and I do think MIT kind of ripped him off because MIT was around from the beginning. I did see some of the work he did show up in MIT stuff later on, and not that long later on, 9 months later. Yeah,
and that like that's why his story freaked me out because like what he's looking to get, and it was insane.
Well, and he went on these rants about how he was some royalty, and I remember reading it to a friend of mine, and I feel bad saying this because I don't like to laugh at people, but we were laughing. Dude, this guy thinks he's royalty, and then like, what was the rest of it? It just got weirder and
I'm looking for it on the way back machine now.
Yeah, he did Peer Cover, was his project's name.
Yep, that's it.
And I probably still do in one of my wallets. I don't even know. Oh no, I think I had a separate wallet that I dealt with him. Holy cow. I have not thought about that in years. It didn't take about 2 to 3 conversations on the phone, and I was like, okay, this ain't going to work. Well, it's nice to meet someone that's been around since then.
Yeah, I'm Superman. I was Dennis for a while, and then Super Dennis when they.
I do remember Dennis. I remember that.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, I remember Dennis. You had some good comments and thoughts and stuff.
I kind of dug in with the culture and kind of what was going on. It's amazing how much has changed, but how much hasn't over that time. Like,
Well, I mean, the fundamentals are still the same. There's a lot more people.
yeah, all these independent devs started coming out of the woodwork because there was always just like the 9 or 10 people on the forums that would code on the ledger and were never positive, like not a positive word. Couldn't get a positive word out of them. Even when I met some of them in person, they're so nice. I was expecting them to be such a curmudgeon. And I'm like, how are you so nice? You've never said a positive, like every response is like, it's probably going to fail.
Well, I'll say this. When I've worked with pretty like hardcore developers, that attitude it's almost like working with a lawyer where they only tell you how everything can go wrong.
Yeah.
Right? But it's their job. You know, it could screw up this way, it could screw up that way. You could be liable here, like the system could break here, the system could break there. But they're probably nice people.
Yeah, no, for sure. I like the couple that I've met are like I think mostly people like so much nicer than their personality was on the forums, like out of their way nice. But yeah, no, it's true what you say. It's funny because that's how you fix it. I mean, even this recent issue that we had with the ledger, like I love seeing people come together, figure out the problem, come up with a solution. And then, you know, how I don't know, did you see Matt's Twitch stream like 10 days ago with
Oh no, I meant to. I totally missed it.
Really good. Oh, nice. Yeah, no, I've known Matt. I've known Matt for a while, like through social medias, but he did a really good, like this. They're all great, but this one was recently about Clio, the Clio.
I do, if I remember right, it's something about a lightweight node.
Exactly. Yeah, and it was directly related to like kind of history node for like, you know, a majority of functions that people want to use on this I can't go into all the detail. I understood about 75% of it, if that, but it's there are solutions that are being built because of the adverse effects of like increased traffic with like almost like I'm an abused spouse. And I'm like thankful I didn't get hit today. Typical company wants to do that, but like you try and work on Ethereum or trying to like I have some money that I'm trying to get out of a Coinbase wallet, and I have to decide whether I want to spend like $200 to do it. It's so stupid. It's just like I need Ethereum.
How does that make any sense? Is that a Coinbase fee?
It's a Coinbase. So Coinbase bought some DEX on Ethereum, and
I knew the keyword was going to come out.
What's that? It's built on Ethereum. It you know gives you access to tokens they don't list, but you can swap on the network. But they don't tell you that once you get something there to send the Ethereum there, like you have to pay gas fees to send. So it's $100 now worth of a coin, but it's
100 is like what 18%, just off the top of my head. 15%.
Well, I mean that's not even the crazy part. The crazy part is there's there to pay for the gas fees to get the coin out. I have to spend $80 in gas fees for the $75. Like that's in gas, then the value, and I have nothing left. So now I got to do the calculation. How am I going to get the $75? Seems like this is the best that there is, and you know we should all just be happy about it.
So I'm like, obviously, if you'd probably get it since I'm more of an economic finance guy. This is where I was so freaking impressed with Flare. And I'm always, frankly, a little bit embarrassed because I feel like I should have thought of this or noticed economic reality. But when the Flare guys articulated that if the value of the coin, and this holds true for any proof of work, proof of stake network, if the value of the coin is what underlays or backs up the security of the network, then the network cannot, as their term, scale for value. And if you think about that, let's say you have $1 trillion economy, and obviously the world's bigger than that, and let's go with proof of work for the 51% easy math thing. So for 501 billion, I can take over $1 trillion network. Okay, I'll take a 2-for-1. Versus,
Right.
at the end of the day, and this has been true the whole entire time. I remember when, all the way back when we were talking earlier, some of the coder or the technical guys would, it's kind of a good idea. But then I kind of run it through the economics and I'm like, nah, man, that ain't how this works. It's one, people do things in a certain way because multiple generations tried, just because it's digital doesn't mean it's new. They came out with these methods and yeah, maybe we can tweak them to match the digital blockchain distributed ledger format or form factor. But the principles are still, I don't know. The crazy thing to me too was I never really engaged with the Ethereum community. And so just a couple of weeks before Flare announced, the only that has a freaking clue about anything crypto was bitching about the Ethereum fees, much like you are. And he is basically saying, I've got things that are economically beneficial to me, transactions that I can do. But once I account for the Ethereum transactions, it's no longer economically beneficial. And then like a few weeks later to a month later, Flare announced. And I'm very impressed with Flare.
What are they waiting for, honestly? Isn't it?
I think it's just software development process. Their Flare network is going to be a production network. They don't even have. There's what the FTSO. In terms of functionalities on the Songbird network, there's FTSO, there's F assets, and there's governance. And they only have FTSO rolled out at this point. So until they get F assets and governance rolled out on the Songbird network, I wouldn't take that. I mean, if I was running the show, I wouldn't take that into production. I want to test all 3 legs of the stool before I go.
So how does Flare, help me understand how after a clone or the same group, or what's the overlap there?
I'm not totally sure. I could be completely wrong, but I think that Avalanche is like a rebranding of the consensus protocol, slightly tweaked. So it basically is the XRPL cryptography.
So it's similar to Stellar, but what Stellar did with Ripple, but then also, merging with another network.
Well, they're not merging with another network. They're running the EVM for the smart contract. They have the FTSO providers, which are your oracles. So that gives the network outside data inflow. Then you've got the F assets, right, on other networks to the Flare network. So you've got that, and then the governance is sort of internal to the network. So you've got sort of the governance is internal. You got the F assets is external. So it's like making the network connecting a hub of value from multiples, which play a role in the F assets, but also like say I want to know the weather feeds and bring, weather data. Like say I want to do a hurricane policy. I live in Florida. On to write my smart contract that says, hey, if a hurricane hits here, pay these people, 10 grand. So the FTSOs are the first thing they're doing is supporting the price feeds on the F assets. The F assets are kind of their own thing because that connects different networks. But the Oracle, the FTSOs can connect or bring, non-price feed data. It could be weather, it could be death certificates for life insurance, it could be any outside data. And then you have the Ethereum virtual machine code to write whatever business logic you want to process the outside data. If you have a need for an F asset, fine. If not, I'm sure somebody will create like a F. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I need to read more of the documentation. Honestly, I feel like I've while we're waiting for the lawsuit to settle, because I'm like, I told you about the projects that I'm working on. I have a path to. I'm looking at other networks just to see, and I need to read up on Flare because I had read somewhere that it was a fork of Avalanche, and so I assumed a lot of what I was reading on Avalanche would translate, but it doesn't.
But then after, sorry, I'm interrupting. It's very interesting in here about the Flare. I'm utilizing the Flare network in the Flare loans and the Flare farm and the Flare X, and also delegating with the SOR network with the Spark token that still has to come out in Q1 or 2 for the XRP holders. And then there is the Songbird, the Canary network. And right now there is a first project built on the test network from Flare. So the Canary network, Songbird. So it's getting further and further. And Canary X, the token that's built on the Canary network, is actually deflationary rebase token together with the DAO. And it's a fork of the Ohm network. It's really some crazy stuff. I don't know if you have looked into that also.
Yeah, I've spoken to the Flare. You're talking about Flare Finance. Yeah, I've spoken with those guys. Created in their alpha and beta. I have not participated since they went live on the Songbird network. How are you finding it? You're using Flare Farm? You're using Flare? What are you doing? How's it working?
So I'm using the app Bifrost Wallet. It's specially built for the Canary network, Songbird. And I'm going into it. And then you have the Songbird in there. You have the wrapped Songbird. You have the Flare X. You have the D-Flare. And you have the Canary dollar. Then with the wrapped Songbird, I can directly in the app itself delegate to different providers. And I can delegate to 2 providers. And I can choose the percentage that I want to delegate to each. Some are working with NFTs, some are working. You can check all the information on Flare metrics. There you can follow up the epochs we're in, and there you can also see what the rewards are, and all the information from the different providers connected is at Flare Matrix. And then you have with bookmarks, you can go to Flare X, Flare Farm, and Flare Loan, and that's the Flare Finance part. And there you go to with the Songbird, you can swap at the Flare X, you can swap it to Cant, is a Canadian dollar, and swap currencies. And then you can go in liquidity pools and provide liquidity. And then you also are able to liquidate So you can see a list of the liquidations you are able to take, and then you have the LPs. It's a really big system that's been rolled out, and it's actually the local banks are disappearing, and we the people can actually directly do business with the MB part of the network of the central banks, and that's actually, I think, a little bit this system.
So I'm curious. Are you logged in there now?
Yeah, I'm logged in now.
How deep are the liquidity pools? Like what's the depth of liquidity on particularly the swaps, but also the liquidity pools? Because the liquidity pools are basically AMMs, if I understand it right.
The GB, CAND, LP. Reward is in D-Flare. And the pool supply is 7,500. And total staked 700 Songbird. And the reward rate is around 4,800 D-Flare per day. I'm going to be honest, I'm not that technical as you. I'm utilizing it and trying it out and learning it that way. So but I can send you the documents where everything is standing. But
no, I'm not technical. I participated in their alpha and beta test, so I have some clue. I haven't messed with it for a few months. I was just curious how much liquidity they had flowing. 200 grand. I mean, 7 million Songbird is, I mean, just call it 50 cents. Call it, with downgrade from that, call it 3 mil. Escrowed, and you said what, like 20 something, 25 to 30,000 liquid.
Yeah.
So that's.
But sorry.
How's the value of the Y flare and the D flare and all that stuff looking?
This week I'm also not really active with the flare loans because I'm more active on the new thing that's being built on the Songbirds, on the Canary X, because I'm thinking there was an airdrop and they gave away 2,000 coins, and I think they will be a part of a new pool that's coming to the Flare, because Flare Finance is coming with an update Q1, Q2, and right now that project is being rolled out, and I have some information on the white paper and what it's doing, and it's actually gonna be providing liquidity in those pools with the Canadian dollar and with all those things. Canary dollar, sorry.
I think I was supposed to receive some of the XFi airdrop, but I never saw anything where I had to like do any claims. Is that correct?
You just had to hold it on a self-custody wallet, like, and okay. Reminder, the XFi token.
Because I'm going to move over to Decent. I've got it sitting right here next.
I would recommend Bifrost. It's specially built for the Songbird and the Canary network. It's the best. It's the Decent is more like a mix of what has to offer, but the Bifrost is really, it's pure quality. And
yeah, I missed it. I already bought the Decent wallet. I just haven't even set it up yet. I've been lazy.
You have the hardware wallet also. Yeah, I'm using the app. I'm using the app from Decent, so nothing against it. I'm also using it. I have two phones, so one is using the Decent wallet, and the other is using the Bifrost wallet. And I'm even probably got a wallet from the other one, and the same on the other phone. So I just have 4 wallets running. That would be, but yeah. First, like I post the post above, the Canary X token. That's the project that's first built on Songbirds, and I think.
Yeah, that's probably the stable coin, I would assume, or sort of stable coin. I don't know.
Fellas, good talking to you. Have a good weekend.
Hey, thanks, Dennis. Nice to talk to you. Glad to, have a good evening.
You too.
Thanks for the information, Dennis, and have a great evening.
Yeah, same to you, man. Thanks. I'm going to be reading up on some of the stuff you mentioned. Bye, guys.
Definitely saw more people using Bifrost than Decent, but by the time everything went live, I already had.
But I think it's a good thing, the Decent wallet, because I was first utilizing the app, and then I also saw that they brought out a hardware wallet. So it must be a good one, definitely.
My phone is starting to have latency. It crashed on me last time it did this. If this thing automatically hangs up somehow, I apologize. I got it mostly for the physical wallet because of the extra, the biometric security. I mean, I'm not playing around with just a couple $100, so.
Safety first. Safety first.
Yeah, I might jump into. I haven't jumped into the Flare Finance once since Songbird is launched. I mean, it just went live. What, a week or two ago?
What? Sorry, can you repeat that?
Services just went live like a week or two ago, right? With the XFi.
Loans and the Flare farm and things like that. That's already a few weeks, and the XFi was indeed past week.
Yeah. So, but
Post I did from XRP_CRO status. This guy is coming out with the most beautiful information. So he brings it out in a really easy form to understand and to learn about how it's practically working.
yeah, Status has done a good job for a long time. I basically retweet everything he makes. Hey guys, I might jump off. I've been on for 2 hours already. Unless does anybody have something like X Moon? If you want to jump on, like actually been hands on with it, and I have not. So it would be great to maybe get you on with a bunch of other people and talk some just.
Definitely, you always can send me a message or invite me to a space, and I will be sure that I can be there. And if you leave it a little bit more early, then I can prepare a little bit, because I have like too much information about, but it's not really that sorted a little bit out, because I was from the start with Flare and Songbird. I all saw it from the start. And I have all the information, and I think this will really be a big, like Ethereum and XRP brought together on one network. Yeah, I think you can imagine what it could be.
Are you European zone?
Yes, indeed, I'm a European zone.
Okay,
Belgium.
I started an hour earlier. Sorry, say that again. I started an hour earlier today for the European folks. I don't know. Now it looks like we've got a bunch more people popping on. And then there's some other people in the Asian area that are asking me to start a little later.
But I'm working on all different time zones, so I can join every time.
Okay. Well, I followed you, so I'll message you next time. I got a couple other people I'm talking to maybe the next couple of days, but it would be great to get myself set up and then talk to you about Flare Finance and all the stuff you were just talking about.
Yep, we definitely can do that. Thanks for having me here, and let me speak.
Yeah, man, of course. I'm the whole reason I'm doing this stuff is to help people learn, including myself.
We all gotta learn.
anyone can hear me. I have a feeling my phone's going to crash. I'm going to go ahead and kill it before my phone crashes because I'm already pushing buttons that aren't pushing. I think you guys can hear me. I'm not sure.
I hear you fine. Thanks for the time, and we hear each other soon.
Cool. Sounds good. Everybody have a wonderful day or evening or wherever you're at.
Thanks, and big up for the listeners. Always. See you.
No worries. Have a good night or day or whatever, morning.